everybody would love to be themselves, but you can't because you fall out of line with the person in front of you. When you don't know something, you don't like it. You're afraid of it. What is that? I don't know what that is. For me, at least, if I don't know something, it scares me or I'm afraid of it or I don't like it, right? So maybe they don't know. They see and they conjure up whatever it is that they think it is, what they've been programmed to from many years of society and whatnot.
But through all my work, I love to inspire. I think, that's a gift to give to others. And it's something that I was listening to Tommy talk on podcasts and things like that. And I was like, wow, this is helping others to breathe easier. So that's why we put together this inspirational moment at the end that really says to people that you can go after what you truly want. We're here for a short time, even at the longest. And do you want to look back saying, I wish I had, or I'm glad I did?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 139. In this episode, I speak with Joel Ven der Molen and Tommy Gunn. This was an incredible conversation. I can't wait for you to check it out. To watch this episode, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@thesamdeverpodcast. To listen to this podcast, be sure to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Here's my conversation with Joel and Tommy. Joel Ven der Molen, Tommy Gunn, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming. This is a treat. This is awesome. When Tommy had mentioned coming on, this is his second appearance, but you were going to be in town too. I'm like, awesome, because I had just watched Fans Only. The first time I watched it again. But first and foremost, incredible job on that, both of you. You did a really good job. I thought it was very well done, very well produced. Loved the storyline, the depth of the questions and where you guys went with that. So I'm thinking maybe just open it up here. How did that happen? How did you two get together and decide to make this documentary?
Well, I was working in Las Vegas in 2024. I was there for the whole month of January at various exhibitions and filming. And so I accidentally found myself at the AVN Expo. Looking around and seeing what was going on, and because it's a fascinating world. I think a lot of people are fascinated by it and want a window into this, what it's all about. And then eventually I got talking to people, and I found myself stood next to Tommy, right there in the center of the expo, and we just started talking, and that turned into a 3-hour conversation. And then we had dinner with some people in the industry, producers. Bra Bones was there, and then the next day, and we thought we got to do something here. That's how it all began. That was when it that was the initial start. Then we were speaking, and it was Tommy that said press play, if you like, and said, right, we got to do this. Come over. In May of 2024, when he was being inducted into the Hall of Fame at XRCO, and that's when we started filming.
Yeah, it was a timely moment where I was just found myself kind of just, I'd made my rounds, and next thing you know, we're just standing next to each other, and what's funny was I had been wanting to do something, and I even had a couple guys come out to where I live in Colorado to film some stuff, and that turned into a disaster, needless to say, because it was so kind of in my mind when he mentioned, I'm a documentary filmmaker. My ears perked up, and I go, oh, tell me and then he proceeded to tell me, and I basically said, for lack of better words, what do you got? What are you doing? What do you got going on? He says, I'm kind of here for the next 3 days. I don't have anything going on. Perfect. I got the next 3 days. We got this whole thing going on. If you want, I'll take you by the hand and just lead you around, and I'll introduce you to this world, and you come with me into more like an all-access place too, as far as that particular event. So we took him to the awards and to the parties and the little, because the whole event is a party. Some people go, where's the after party? I'm going, you're standing at it. So that's what we did, and then we, as he said, we proceeded. As we spoke, we decided, you don't get something done if you don't do it. So I just said,
Sounds like the perfect storm.
You know?
Because I have to mention, I watched your Gypsy Billionaire, incredible film as well. So you were done. You had wrapped all of that at this time, and you were pretty much on the lookout probably for your next project.
I was kind of thinking, okay, well, what's next? But at that time, Gypsy Billionaire was #1 on Amazon Prime. It was getting a lot of press in the UK, and I was thinking, okay, well, what's next? Where's this going to lead? And it led on to a few projects, Fans Only being one of them. And then it took a very unique kind of turn. In May, we were discussing, Tommy and I, about the theme of it, and it was about shining a bright light on the industry where this has never been done before by mainstream. I've seen a lot of documentaries or programs about the adult entertainment world. Nothing that I'd seen has done it in the way we are doing it. In fact, of looking at the human side, the people behind the personas. And that I thought was really clever. And we ran with that idea with Tommy leading the way. Because Tommy's not only, he's got an inspirational story and is got so well known over the years, but is a perfect example of everything that somebody would want to be in that industry. So leading the way, leading the charge, as it were. And, there's a lot of performers that were very willing to speak out and share their experience, which made it what it is. It took a lot of love, time, and nurture to really bring what you saw on the screen. But we're very happy with what we've got. We're hovering around the top 20 at the moment, but I believe with the star power that we have, I think the machine of the marketing engine behind it, which is the performers, very willing to share. Why are they willing to share? Because a lot of them find themselves defending the industry that they work in. When this is something that gives them a voice, it gives them something to speak back to the mainstream that has never really done something like this and put them in this light, in this way.
And when you two were first starting talking about this idea, did you have that in mind from the get, or is it more, we're just going to start working and filming together and see what happens? Or did the main concept, bringing the human side to the industry, is that?
It was, if I may, it was let's just go to this event. We'll film as much as we can. We need to get the content right. And then as we progressed, there was a moment I remember we were driving to Mel's Diner, and he had said, there was something along the lines of, we'll do this with you. And I said, I'd like to share more of the lens in the whole scope of with the industry as well as, but I could still be, an integral part of it and kind of lead you by the hand and be the liaison to a conduit to the industry. So, it was, I was sharing the spotlight, if you will, or whatever, with the business and shining a better, because more often than not, it doesn't happen. So I said, and he reassured me, we control the edit and we get to, and there is no kind of a quick change or anything at the end of it where it ends up being something that we didn't really set out to do. So having said that, I said, let's shine a positive light on the business. Let's do something more uplifting and enlightening and more revealing and more honest, as opposed to, again, what
or he did selflessly say,
I said,
we don't need to make it all about me.
Right.
Let's make it about the people that work in the industry, shine a positive light. And I just thought we got to run with that.
And I'll have my face and whatever, but let's share it with everyone, and
which was, just then ideas started to spark, and a lot of things just happened for it. This is what I call like the magic of film, or the magic of documentary making. Is it's not scripted. It can lead in multiple directions, and that's exactly what was happening. And you've just got to allow for that to happen and run with it. And it's still like that.
It's still falling into place today. Strangely enough, we've had a couple of things that kind of came out of nowhere.
Because the journey's expanding, right? Like
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
talking a little bit before we started. It just keeps unfolding in front of you.
Well, you're there and you're on the set or in that moment of wherever you're going. You say, hey, guess what? I realized I got to run into the testing facility just to get a test. Oh, that's a good little moment in time. Let's include that because we'll show people what it's involved and how those things are in place of what you do in your business. And then lo and behold, here comes an actress that we had spoke about. We'd love to get her, and now she is walking up out of the blue.
You know what I mean? And these type of things have been happening, and it's something that is on the journey, and you go with it. And
poof, out of nowhere it pops up.
Yeah, so
and then some things that we want to do end up getting canceled or whatever, and we decide maybe that's probably better because of something that we figure is more of a beneficial difference as opposed to how it's going to unfold in that respect. So
yeah, you just got to go with it. So people who come forward and want to be in it, but it can't happen, then you've just got to respect that and just let everything unfold the way it is. The right people will be in it, and yeah, you just got to trust that journey.
Trust that little whatever it was, hiccup or a thing, is either an encouragement in a different direction, or like, hey, let's something that doesn't work out may be what makes something else work out. That's better. So.
Yeah, and say, well, okay, that's not happened, but where is this actually leading us? And yeah, I think that happens through a lot of work in film and TV and video. There is it's just magic that happens. I love what I do, and that be with that creativity and hard work come these someone called them happy accidents, but they're kind of magical moments, I think.
And I have to shout out, I love your reaction, Joel, when Tommy pulls up in his big truck in Vegas. Because I think you're right, Tommy, you were the perfect person to like get this thing, be the host, if you will, or the one to show people the industry because of the longevity you've had. And I have to admit, like a lot of people on the last podcast you did with us, They said, man, he just seems like a regular guy. I'm like, he is. He's cool. Like he's a cool guy. Like he does cool stuff like outside of the industry, which really I thought was great. He was the one to get it kickstarted because he's showing you like, look, this is a job. This is what I do, and I'm perfectly all right.
And but the perception is that, it's not what you would think. And this is what I love to get across is that because the outside world, the civilian world, and I speak to a lot of people and I'm from that world, coming into this world and seeing how wonderful the people are, because they're people, they're human, they've got human stories. However, the perception is that they're kind of like, what, not human?
Yeah, or they're being exploited, and they don't want to be there, and they're there by their own. They're not there by their own will. It's all these terrible things. It's like Holly said. What about just maybe these people actually enjoy that and want to be there, and for that woman or that younger woman, it's exactly what they need, and they're okay with it, and it's fine. Nobody ever put a gun to my head, but to do it, and I've never, felt, maybe I, at one point or another said, how did I get here? Because, wow, look at this awesomeness. And again, and I said this before, as long as human beings walk the earth, there'll be good versions of whatever it is you're into and a bad version of whatever you're doing. Because people have that ability to either be malicious or kind and nice, or underhanded and dastardly, or whatever. So pick an industry, and I'm sure you'll find a few people that are not nice to each other in it, and people that are wonderful to each other in it. So.
And that's the thing, when people see like someone from the industry and something goes south or negative, they go, see, that's why. That's what happens. Sure. And that's what I loved what you guys were doing. Like, no, like we're having regular conversations with people, and everyone spoke very intelligently in the documentary.
There's
too.
definitely a lot of really talented, intelligent people, and intelligence isn't only like academia. That's one way to learn, but you can learn a lot from life in itself. For example, I never went to school, but I'm in 58th grade right now, and I keep graduating every year to go on and learn more. And I'll learn up to my last breath something, and we all will, right? Can't deny that.
It's a constant learning.
Hopefully, you're going to learn, but
but you fail forward. That's certainly in everything I do, but it takes a lot of hard work. It really helps if you love what you do, and I think 2% may be doing that. But the reason we get anything done, I think it's a miracle that things get made now. The amount of work that's involved in creating a documentary or anything in film and TV, I really praise the people who work in that and do anything, because anything takes hard work, and it's no different in what we do. I said when we were in Cannes this year, and I was with Alfie Best, the Gypsy Billionaire, and I said, everything takes a lot of hard work. I said, the only thing harder that I can imagine is being born in a caravan on the side of the road and becoming the richest gypsy in the world. You work at something, you put in the effort. And Alfie says it's not, 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration to achieve the heights that you desire.
I have to say, I watched the Gypsy Billionaire yesterday, and Alfie, I'm paraphrasing him, but he said something along the lines of, he talked about the moment when he was 19 and he had made a bunch of money, but then lost it again, the recession hit. And he said he remembers in the lowest moment where, like, those moments, they either are going to break you or they master you. And that really hit home. Like, you can use those and let it defeat you, or you can, okay, I'm going to become the best version of myself out of this.
Choice.
Like, just that mindset he had of just constantly going.
Yeah. And, if you love what you do, you do that. Otherwise, you're crazy. To do something really hard that you work out that it would drive you mad. So, yeah. And I took a lot of inspiration from Alfie making that documentary. We followed him for 18 months.
Wow.
And, I had to learn what it is that he does. And I spent a lot of time with him. Of course, I'm absorbing all the wisdom, and, it was a wonderful thing to do. But the story was fascinating. I couldn't believe that it hadn't been done already. However, and here's the interesting part. I was dealing with with the gypsy community. They're stigmatized. They receive
a fair amount of
there's stigma there towards them, and I learned that through spending a lot of time with them and understanding, that they're just people, but yet the doors are closed on them wherever they turn, and that hits quite hard. Alfie says, well, that was the bar that I had to overcome. They set the bar a bit higher for me.
Sure.
And then there's a similarity, if you like, with the stigma that they experience, the gypsies. And I saw the same stigma when I came into the adult entertainment world, where they wouldn't be greeted.
Welcome.
And you were saying it, weren't you? You were sometimes you're invited to the party, and other times you're not invited to party
for the same reason, right? Let's invite them because I get to say, here's my porno guy, check it out, come see him, like a novelty, like show and tell. Like I'm gonna do some special
dance, monkey dance.
You know what I mean? Or let's not bring him because maybe he'll be hitting one of the girls or make us look bad or whatever. I'm going. So it is what it is.
But it's also that association. A lot of people say, "Yeah, I'll be your friend," but I can't have a photograph with you.
Yeah, like I've on many occasions invited plenty of my friends come to my side of the world and have a gander. Oh, wow, look at this. And I go, I'm wondering when I'm going to be invited to the other side or in that world. Like, I'd like to go to the Oscars. That would be cool. Imagine how that would go over. Imagine. How did he get in here? Kick him out the back. No, I don't know. Wouldn't that be neat? But hey, you never know. Anyway, would they be willing to be like, oh, he's my, he's with me? Because then you'd have to explain how you knew this guy, right? I don't know.
So a question I'll throw in, both your takes on what's something you both learned that you did not expect or didn't anticipate. I know you just made the reference maybe to similarities to the Gypsy community. Going into this, I'll start with Joel. Like, when you started going down this journey, what really like, wow, like that's really eye opening. Like I didn't expect that. And then Tommy, same.
Sure,
for you.
sure.
You go in with the preconceptions. You go in, having ideas because these ideas have been programmed into you by society, by the media, by culture, by parents, by religion. What you find, and what got me, was how incredibly welcoming people were, how non-judgmental they were, how they're able to celebrate life, and you have a different level of communication and enjoyment being in the circle with them. I think they're more open, they're more friendly. So because they've dropped these kind of they've taken off the mask. Whenever people go out, they wear a mask for their family, they wear a mask for their friends, they wear a mask when they're at work. But because of what they do, perhaps it's given them a level of freedom that I think a lot of people want. I think the people that we love the most are the ones that can access their inner child and set that inner child free. That's what I noticed when I came here a year ago and met everybody. For me, that was really powerful. I really love that. Because I do, as I said, I think, the people we look up to, the people we admire, are the people that are able to express themselves and be free. And these people that I was meeting were free to be who they are. And I think that's very important. I think it's what a lot of people look for in their own life. They want to be that inner child, but we become adults, and we feel we have to start acting like adults.
Right. Similar to when you, in a relationship with anything, whether it's myself meeting you or someone else or a girl, we are a representative of ourselves originally. And in the beginning, we send a representative of ourselves, right? I'm going to have this. But in our industry, it seems like at some point or another, you got to let that go and be who you really are and let it all hang out, so to speak. So that's something that I think it's kind of freeing in a sense to be among a group or an industry where you have to be yourself, and not have this air of some sort of other thing that you're trying to perpetuate and be like, it's an interesting thing. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all just, like you said, there's some sort of inner youth, child, whatever. We just own a older physical, on the outside as we grow up, but we're all just aged kids at the end of the day, children, amongst each other and whatnot and stuff. And everybody wants to be accepted in this circle and that thing. And plus, our world's a little bit of a I'm so rebellious or a misfit or just it's that there was the black sheep of the entertainment industry, So I don't know why the I don't know why the whatever exists where it's hard to to be in to go back and forth. It's possible, but at some point there's got to be someone that just don't. That's okay. We don't care. Let them come over here, or be involved in what we're doing. So I don't know if that's any.
I think a lot of people lock themselves away. Nearly every decision that people make is based on what other people will think of them. We live our lives in a certain way and we're told what to do. And we seek validation outside of us. We're taught to love outside of us, but really love comes from within us. It's that little voice inside that knows who we truly are, here to become. But when we allow the noises from outside to drown that inner voice, we end up doing jobs that we're disinterested in and living life to outwardly people please. So when I meet people who work in adult entertainment, they've been able to leave that all behind by doing working in the industry because it's seen as taboo. They've got no other choice but to drop the expectations of others. And when you do that, you give yourself a level of freedom. And so this is very interesting because a lot of people cannot feel that they can be free to live the life that they want, live in that inner child. Because when we're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, we don't care what people think of us. We don't care what our ex-girlfriends or boyfriends are doing on Instagram. We don't care that we didn't get invited to that birthday party, because we're living from that place of inside. And we can express ourselves. But as we get older, we judge and hold people in a certain place, and it becomes difficult. So when you get older, you have to unlearn these ideas and beliefs that keep you small if you want to fly. And I think if you always do that, if you're not able to break that, it can end up turning toxic, turning into an illness. The body is an intelligent system. It tells us when we're not on track. And it's a difficult thing to listen to, but it's something that when you do, and you align with that and drop the fear of it, or the worry that if I did that, then, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. And then what would happen? I might die. So it's interesting, and I've been through a phase in my life. It took about 4 or 5 years to really get back on track to who I knew I wanted to become. But life pushes you around, so you go into different avenues. But your guiding voice will always bring you back in some way to who you are. But you can't say no to that. You've got to be strong enough to say yes. I'm going to follow my heart instead of the ego. The ego and the heart work in balance, and you need both. But to be heart-led, whenever I make a decision that's an ego-led decision, then I pay for it. And at the time that it might not be the right thing to do, but you do it anyway. How many times have you looked back on the decisions you've made and you said, oh, but I knew deep down at the time that it wasn't the right thing to do, but I went ahead and did it anyway? Well, it's living from that place of deep down, which is sometimes not easy. You're asking people to, disregard everything they've ever believed in and invested in, and be open-minded to something new. But every single human heart knows the truth.
Oh, that's really good. And I was going to say, do you think, for both of you, is that part of the reason you think people lash out against the adult film industry? Because deep down they're seeing people who are living their truth. And I think whether it's conscious or unconscious, there's a jealousy there. There's an envy there of like, wow, they're not afraid to be who they are, or do something that's outside the box. And here I am. I've never done anything like that. for the reasons you said. I mean, that's 99.9% of society. Those fears of, oh, I can't do this because if I lose my job and I can't pay my rent, and then people just stay stagnant from
Well,
that.
it's like what I said. Everybody would love to be themselves, but you can't because you fall out of line with the person in front of you, right?
Now you're quoting Fans Only.
Exactly. Additionally,
but it's true. We
people
we
don't-
embed that in
when
inspiration.
you don't know something, you don't like it. You're afraid of it. What is that? I don't know what that is. For me, at least, if I don't know something, it scares me, or I'm afraid of it, or I don't like it. Right? So maybe they don't know. They see, and they conjure up whatever it is that they think it is, because it's what they've been programmed to from many years of society and whatnot. I guess it's an age-long, thing that's it's hard to understand.
But through all my work, I love to inspire. I think, that's a gift to give to others. And it's something that I was, listening to Tommy talk on podcasts and things like that. And I was like, wow, this is helping others to breathe easier. So that's why we put together this inspirational moment at the end that really says to people that you can go after what you truly want. We're here for a short time, even at the longest.
Yeah.
And do you want to look back saying, I wish I had, or I'm glad I did? And look, I did listen to a lot of people who, inspire, starting from the likes of Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn, who would speak wonderfully. Kyle Cease is another great person I listen to a lot. And it's all out there, but you want to put it into practice. It sometimes takes getting over yourself to be able to really listen inside to what it is you want. I mean, there's so many people out there. Jim Carrey speaks about this a lot. He says, I wish everybody could have everything they've ever wanted, so they realize that that's not it. And, we're always desiring what we perceive is missing from us. And we try to fill that emptiness, that hole with ice cream, or buying things, consuming things, because it might give a momentarily high. Someone will go and buy a sports car and think that they've got that sports car, but when they get it, it's not the thing. The person who has, you could see a person on the street with one leg and all he wants is two legs. Then the person with two legs with no socks, or no shoes, just wants a pair of shoes. And then the person who's got a bike wants a car, and it goes on, and that's the ego.
You got a big giant yacht, you want a bigger one.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
and so it goes on and on. So it's just really strange. But when you're at peace with yourself, then all that falls away.
That's, I think, like the most simplified thing is that at the end of the day, when everything's done, everyone's gone away, you're not with anybody else, you're by yourself. How do you feel about that? Are you content? Happy? Happy is like a momentary thing, I think. I think content's a better description of something that's more achievable. Happy is like, again, the pursuit of it. You're trying to find it, and it's only momentary, right?
Joel, I have a question. So I love what you're saying about the people we look up to. They usually have that tendency of some sort of authenticity of expression, that inner child. I definitely subscribe to that. And Tommy, I would agree. You do display those qualities. Like it's very, I don't know, it's very like pure and natural, and like, just seem like I could see that description definitely fitting Tommy, like without a doubt. I'm asking, do you see that out of most of the other adult film stars that you've met? because I haven't met any others yet. So but I find that fascinating that that's a trait that you see.
And just to be clear,
Yeah.
so I understand, and that's what, that innocence, that just that.
Well, that inner child thing that
inner
you're saying,
child,
like
yeah, you're
that interplay and
Sure,
stuff
sure.
like that.
Interplay,
I just
right.
figured that was just something unique about you, but I
Yeah,
find
yeah.
that very fascinating that that's a trait that you're seeing in most of the adult film stars that you're meeting. I think that's really fascinating.
Oh yeah, and I did about 20 interviews at XRCO, and it was fascinating because they can all go very deep. They can all connect with you. And the people that we had in the documentary, I mean, one woman, Alexis Fox, phenomenal. You know, really grounded, looks after herself, very intelligent, and you know, clearly done a lot of work on herself to be this, to become, you know, the woman that she is and continues to grow into. And then we had Alexis Texas. Again, similar thing. She says in the documentary that she's done enough work on herself to, you know, to understand people. And that's what it really is about. It's about, you know, understanding others, being able to communicate. And I see this in so many of them, that there's a level of awareness going on.
Right, because I don't think you can really understand others till you understand yourself, you know?
You said it perfectly.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
And as we go, you know, we go back to people projecting outwardly, it's because of something that they're holding inside. So when they do see people living their truth, it reminds them that they're not. That's a deep way of connecting with why people will point outwardly, but really what they're doing is there's one finger that points out, but there's three fingers that point back at the person who is outwardly pointing.
Yeah.
Never heard that one. That's good.
Oh, you haven't? I feel like they always made me,
Yeah,
my aunt would always say that.
Sometimes I wonder, because like you just pointed out, and I feel that way, is I'm just so happy-go-lucky guy, and when I am that way to people in this one or that one or a group of people or whatnot, and I don't get it back, and I really have a hard time with that. I think maybe they see me in their mind, they're like, look at this guy, man, he's just, like you said, he's being, you know,
Playful.
Fun, and hey,
yeah.
guy, hey,
Yeah.
and I can't be that way. So I can't give that back to him. So if maybe he or they get a certain way, like, because they wish they could, or maybe they can't tap into it, or they don't know how, or maybe they're afraid, or who knows. But I find myself a lot of, I get disappointed in people because I feel like I expect them to be like a trampoline or a rebound of what I'm giving them. Hey, and I'm not getting it back. And I'm going, what? Why? Why is that? You can't expect yourself and others. You can't expect people to be the way you are to them. And I feel like that's what I struggle with. Because I feel like I come from that place. Hey, and this and that and whatnot. Hey, come be here, come do these things, and you know. And I sometimes feel like I'm not being invited, or I'm getting that back. Or it's like at the end of the day, we all just want to be picked for the kickball team in one way or another, right? Not be left out. So I think I can associate with the high school and the bullying and the things like that with the business. I'm still being bullied in one way or another, like, because you're one of them. You can't come to our party or whatever. I don't even know if that makes sense.
People are on a journey, and no one likes to be told what to do. You know, I only say this because I see it in myself. So I remember my dad saying to me, "Why don't you go and cut the grass?" Now I guarantee you that that's not happening because he told me. And he projected and said, outwardly. So immediately, when somebody is told something, their immediate innate reaction, their default response is, well, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm being told.
But if you said, I bet you, the fastest grass cutting history in Guinness Book of Records is 10 minutes. You think you could beat it? You go out there immediately, right? And try to.
Well, he cut the grass in the end, and he's 85,
Right.
But, but however, so through work, what we're doing through Fans Only and through a lot of my other work is holding up that mirror where people can self-reflect when they watch anything, because you're not being told. People in families are too close to say anything to the other one. And so you can't be a teacher to your spouse and even to your children in an older age. They just don't want to listen to their parents. So they get it through a medium where they watch and they can self-reflect. And it happens through film, happens in documentary. That's the gift that I have when I feel that I want to expound through my work, is holding up that mirror where people can self-reflect and say, okay, I can see that in my own self. That's the power that we have as documentary filmmakers.
Oh, that's as I was thinking, I love the part. Oh, I had to bring up, is Alexis Fox? Is that what I thought was very interesting about her, and then Tommy, you similarly, you guys both got into the industry not till your mid 30s.
Yeah. Late 36.
And she even talked about how, like, I was in corporate America.
Yeah, she did all that
I was in the military, I think, even.
Right.
And to have that awakening at that point and be like, yeah, this what I've been doing ain't it. And not to say it's going to be the adult industry for everyone. For someone else, it might be something completely different. But to have that, to be able to have that courage to walk away from the quote unquote, this is what society told you, this is what your parents told you, you're doing the safe thing, you're making everyone happy. Yeah. And to have that courage to be like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I thought that was really powerful.
Well, friends will keep you where they want you to be. By doing something different, you're showing to them, you're asking them to address what they're not doing, that they would love to do. And for you to go there, you're shifting out of your comfort zone, but your friends and society, they want to stay in that comfort zone of, oh yeah, we can't do that because that's not the life we've been brought into. What were you talking about? No, I've lost my train of thought, but
you'll get it back.
Yeah, that was it. No.
Right. There's so many things, to be honest with you. My mind races and I'm going, try to remember this and do that and say this. And
no, but it was what was happening to you before you got into the industry, and the reason that you said why you wanted to make changes in your life before you would go into that industry.
In terms of the dark times that I was in, I was a drug addict, to be honest with you. I mean, I can say that. I had some self-destructive ideas that I thought if I ever had to do, that would be a way to stop some of the darkness and some of the, defeating the self-defeating mentality, and I'll never be this. And, I went through a divorce, and I lost my mom, and I had an awful lot of moments where it just didn't seem like it was getting beyond that, or, would it ever be better? You just got to keep pushing, right? They say, so when I discovered the business, when I discovered the business, I realized here was this business, this industry, this place where I could go in there and but I knew that in order to do that, I couldn't be be on drugs. I couldn't be irresponsible and all those things. I needed to be healthy because, you know, the thing that takes place, and again, at the end of the day, is this was an industry where, you know, in a movie, there was a moment in context with the story that a sexual scene took place among, you know, guy and a woman or whatever the context of the story was. So that's a physical action, right? In order to be good at anything physical, you should be in physical shape. You can't be on drugs and hungover and stay out late and do those things, because at the end of the day, I don't care who you are, it'll affect you. So I thought, here's this opportunity for me, and maybe it came at the time where I was like, I want to quit these things, but I need a reason why. Oh, the adult industry, and however you want to quote it is porn got me sober. So I quit those behaviors and those addictive ways, and and I said, I'm going to concentrate on this. And one day at a time, I met this director and a different person and a different girl and a different photographer. And then through time, sure, I learned this was a very small little world, but now here I was going around that block, metaphorically, so to speak, in that world, meeting new people. Hey, hi, I'm the new guy. I'm this, Nobody knew who I was, so that was nice, to be kind of a stranger. Because when people know stuff about you, they judge you. But to have been kind of a fresh new face, at one point there was in our AVN magazine, Adult Video News, there's a segment called Fresh Off the Bus. We all know what that reference is, People come to Hollywood, actors, they come from wherever the Midwest on a bus, and they get off, the door opens, they're like, I'm in Hollywood, I'm going to become a star, and whatever. So they featured me, fresh off the bus, Tommy Gunn, and they would do, different people each particular monthly, whatever. So it was nice to be in this world where people didn't know who I was. I was a fresh face. I didn't have to say I had all these bad habits and whatever, and I came from. And I decided I'm going to work out. I'm going to really get into this. I love the acting part. I love the sex, of course. Obviously, a red-blooded American male guy. Who wouldn't, right? Beautiful women. Twist my arm. And then I adore women, and I enjoy being a nice person to them. I being a nice person to everyone, because I think we put out what we want, right? And that's what I wanted back. So I figured I'll put it out there. So I was nice. Hey, hi, how are you? And I learned very early in my career that my rapport with my co-star would be a very big impact on my success. Because if I was just some, egotistical guy who thought I was so cool and I'm so this and that, girls would be like, oh, that guy. Nobody wants to work with somebody who's not nice and all those things. So I chose to be nice, and because I enjoyed doing that and working out and stop those bad habits. And it worked for me. And so I continued to do that throughout my career and stuff. So that was my defining moment, where the business, as terrible as it seemed to be something that would benefit me. If I, in that way, for me, that was my experience. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that was, and I still, to this day, I'm grateful for it. And I never look back in terms of, I'm sure you look back to reflect, but I never decided, I'm going to go back into those bad habits. Of course, I'm glad it's done. Porn saved my life in one way or another, and I can openly say that.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Sam Dever podcast. I hope you're enjoying the show. I just wanted to take a quick minute to tell you about my new project called Produce Your Passion. Produce Your Passion is a creative platform for people to overcome obstacles and bring their visions to life and become their most authentic selves. We have a brand new website. It's produceyourpassion.com, and there you will find coaching services. You will find another podcast called Produce Your Passion. I wrote a book. You can download it for free, or you can get it on Amazon. We have an online store where you can get Produce Your Passion gear and a whole lot more. Check it out, produceyourpassion.com. Now, back to the podcast. And you guys touch on that in the documentary about the health section. Like,
you got to be healthy.
I think people get the stigma, like they're just partying 24/7. There's drugs around everywhere.
They crawl out of a pile of people every morning and go, okay, let's just make another video. Go, action. Jump back into this.
Exactly. And I love how you also showcase the reality that this is a job. Like, when you were on set of one of your scenes, like, no, there's call times. There's a whole crew there. And especially for the male has the most pressure, because if you don't get it done, the whole thing's done. Like, no one gets paid.
Day, everything's teetering on that thing, because after all the dialogue and the wardrobe and the setup and the thing, is he coming to the set with what we need him physiologically, and we hope, or there's no, and that's why it's the most crucial ingredient of the. I always say the men are like the glue. We hold the whole business together, because without the men, you got nothing.
And what was the line
at the end of the day? I mean, what's that
about the roses? And
the men. The roses, the girls are the roses, and the men are the vase. And that's not mine. I heard that from someone. And it's a great metaphor. Is that what you? Because together we make the whole thing, right? So it's always been a tough thing for guys, because guys are in somewhat of the shadows, yet they're the most important part of the thing. Maybe they're not the marketability of it, and especially in the straight side, if you will. The women are. They're who you put up in the storefront, right? For everyone to go, oh, look. But the guy's the glue that holds the whole thing together. And the guy is who carries the scene, if you will. Here's a perfect example. Get a guy who's never done anything, and then a big woman star. Put them together. She can't carry the scene if he can't rise to the occasion, right? Put a guy who's a big star and a girl who's brand new. He can take her and move her and throw her around in a good way. And you'd never know she was new. As long as she led. It's kind of like dancing. Follow my lead. And you'd whisper in her ear and say, okay, we're going to go here, we're going to go there. And at the end, they're like, wow. And then they see it and they're like, oh my God, I've never thought I could look so good. Well, you could thank your male partner for that. I'm not saying in all cases, but in a lot of the cases, the guy, you might have a director who's directing the whole movie, but as soon as they say action, it's in the guy's hands as a director, so to speak. He's doing it. And you got a guy who can drive the scene and handle that responsibility. And that's why you saw only a handful of guys throughout the years, 20, 25 guys all the time. Because those guys could deliver the performance and take a girl who's never done it before and make her look good. That's their job. But it's a thankless job in some capacity, because when you fuck up, everyone's like, and it spreads like wildfire. He couldn't get his dick hard or whatever. But yet when he does well, nobody praises him. She was great. And he's over there like, thanks to me. You know what I mean?
Go hit the showers.
Right?
We got to take photos.
So it's a tough thing. And it's not, and it's a lot mentally too, because there's more to just the thing. you know? Because when you're done the thing and you're driving home, and the cop pulls you over and gives you a ticket. And the following day you wake up and you hear some relative passed away. You take all that stuff with you to the next scene, to the next day, and now you got to do that. You got to do your job with all those things in the background happening. I got the ticket, getting evicted out of or the person selling the house, they want me out in a month. Great, I have no control over that. Then you still got to do the thing. So, but the girls, and I'm not taking away anything from the women, but they can fake it. And that's okay. Good for them. Whew. Right? They can, and there's women who are very appreciative of the guys. They're like, thank God for the guys, you know, thank God for them. What were we doing, you know? And then you have some women who just say, oh, you're my prop for the day? And I go, I'm sorry? What was your name again? Oh, I'm Susie from Ohio. Let me write that down, because I'll probably forget by the end of the day. In fact, you're going to be hailed like, oh my God, have you seen Susie's latest scene with, you know, me or whoever the guy is that's takes her and throws her up in the air and makes her look good and catches her so you don't look bad. And then he's probably going to make you famous. I don't know.
Joel, I was going to ask you, that was a great breakdown, by the way. Thank you for that.
I go off on a little bit.
No, that, because again, like that's very realistic. When you,
and nobody, you know, we don't rub it in nobody's face, or at least I don't. Some guys are like, oh, cool, so I don't mind. Let your work be your signature, right? Don't talk about how great it's going to be. I've had guys say, wait till you see this. New guy, dude, wait till you see this. And I go, and I'm in my mind thinking, stop talking.
I got to
then
throw
we
this
get to it, and the guy's in the corner struggling, and, you know, he catches eyes with me, and I thought, I go, I'm waiting for, you told me, wait, you see this? We're all waiting. Just don't talk. Just do your job, you know?
I was at AVN's, this was a few years back, and it was a male veteran. I'm sure you probably knew everyone up there. I can't remember all their names.
Oh, it was a panel.
It was a panel.
Yeah.
And one of them said he used to show up to sets, even if he wasn't scheduled sometimes, because he had heard certain people were going, and he's like, yeah, they're going to fail.
Yeah,
like,
they got like a success rate.
Yeah.
And he knew, and he says, oh, okay.
He'd just sit back and wait. First guy, fail.
Yeah.
Second guy,
Step
fail.
up, take
And
his
he's like,
job.
last minute, they go, he's here, bring him in. And then he'd just crush it every single time because it's a mental thing as well. Sure. And Joel, I wanted to ask you, what was your experience when you went on set that time? I mean, because you're in film, like in different things. So I was just wondering, did you have an expectation, or did something surprise, like, oh, I didn't think it would be like this?
Well, you go on set, and it was the first time I'd ever walked onto an adult film set. And so first of all, you're like, oh my God, of course, wow, this is going to be great. They're naked and they're having sex and we're filming this, even with a blurred background. And then you quickly realize that it's a hard day in the office. You know, it's another day in the office, but it's not easy. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. And then by the end of it, you're like, okay,
change my whole
all right.
concept of what I thought it was, right? And now you're like, oh, now I see. It's like,
and in Fans Only, there's a whole section on male talent. And the reason I did this is to, yes, of course, highlight what the viewer is not aware of when it comes to doing that job. And there's only so many guys that can do it and go the distance and that are bankable. And those are the people that get the repeat work and work a lot. And I think it's Justin, the director, who actually says at one point, he says, yeah, the girls do earn more per scene. But if you're a guy, you may get less, but you're going to be working a lot.
Right.
Because they know that you can
Deliver.
you can deliver, and not many guys can actually do that job. Danny Mountain in the film, I said to him, I said, when did you realize that, you know, this is something you can do? And he said, well, when I turned up at my first audition, there was me and about 8 other guys, and I was the only one who could perform that day. That's when he knew that he could do it. It's not an easy task.
It sounds like, oh, you just...
It sounds great, you know.
Yeah.
To the outside eye, it's you know, wow, you're having the time of your life, and yeah, if you can do it to a certain degree, great. But no, there was a lot of things in the male talent that I wanted to highlight, and throughout the film, that for guys watching, that this is not real. Most guys don't have a dread, as Holly Randall says. The guys do not have a dick like dread. You know, and they don't really want that.
And
Maybe they do once in a while, but you know, that's not someone to have a relationship with. So there was a lot that I wanted to communicate to guys about what's really going on. So because you can watch adult entertainment and begin to feel inferior. That, oh my God, you know, I can't go that long, or my dick's not that big.
there's a lot to get hung up on in terms of the actions of it, the lead up. Oh my God, I'm driving this set. Is it going to work? Is it going to be? You get there. Oh my God, there she is. Oh my God, there's the lights. Oh my God, there's the thing. Oh my God, there's the whatever. Oh my God, we're going in a half hour. That's going to destroy you. It can't be any of those thoughts. They can't even be in your head. It's got to be, you know.
And can that be learned? Maybe it can.
Yeah.
But you know, it takes a lot of maybe seat time, as you said,
Sure.
to get to that point where you can be at that level. Yeah, and I guess maybe a lot of guys don't have the
They don't get the
opportunity.
chance. You get once or twice, you fail up, you're done, you're out the door. When I first got in, it was, you know, really difficult. The barrier of entry was, you know, very hard to get in. Now, you know, you can, for the most part, get in, but by its inherent difficulty, that's how it weeds out the guys who can't do it.
And I think it was Justin, he was the director's name. And I think he said in there, Tommy, that you were really good at being able to have that good rapport with the girl. Like, hey, we're here to do business, obviously,
Yeah,
but
make her
hey,
comfortable.
make her comfortable, but you weren't too much. Like, you know that this is still a job.
Yeah.
That's very probably difficult to do for most guys.
Well,
Like, if
some
most
guys-
guys, if they went on a set and they're surrounded by beauty, they're not going to know how to handle themselves. Even the ones that think they're Rico Suave. Like they're,
Well, what they need to do for some of their psyche is to establish that the girl is, you know, and they'll do it in the makeup chair. Hey, hi, how are you? Next thing you know, the makeup artist is going, beat it. I'm trying to finish her up, and you're just for yourself. You're getting this kind of whatever, you know, flirtatious whatever. I just go, hey, nice to meet you. And, you know, when it's time, okay, you make her feel safe and all those things. Don't make the makeup artist hate you. Or make the girl be like, what the fuck? This guy's all over me trying to... Because some guys need that maybe, you know, in order to get get everything going mentally, you know.
Yeah, and it's maybe is it a reflection on relationships, or is it a reflection of real life? You know, what you're doing, because if you go into any situation, you're out and you see a beautiful woman and you act differently. Because it's that seeking of validation, wanting to be loved, and wanting that validation that you are
Accepted in her space.
yeah,
or whatever.
you know. So yes, it's an example, but it is a reflection of real life, and you know, people again wanting to be that guy, be someone that can do this in real life. But it's definitely yeah, it's it's something that people don't really see the mechanics behind it. It's quite a big thing. But look, you've been at the top of the game for X amount of years.
There's a period of time when you first get into whatever it is you're doing. You get your footing. You learn how it is. You understand repeatedly. Oh, the feelings you have, the way your mind should be. Next thing you know, for me, it's structured because that's just how I am. I'm a creature of habit. I got my routine. I show up. I do my thing. I do say hi to the girl here. You know, I know how I'm going to treat her. I know what to expect from myself and my body and my people and the just my place on set. And it always, and the happy-go-lucky, hey, hi, how are you? That did well. Not in the corner on the phone or whatever, you know, and then the guy's ready. Some guys, I know, they're like, I don't want to know the girl's name. I don't even want to talk to her until it's time. And then when it's time, and I'm like, oh, this is strange. That's a strange method for you. And if that works for you, but that's strange. That's just,
Well, especially because the scene where you guys are on set in the documentary, the girl mentions, every time I see Tommy's name on the sheet, I'm like, oh, good, this is
Yeah.
going to be a great day. So it's
Yeah.
like, my point is, like, you're going to be working with people multiple times sometimes.
Sure.
It's not just like a one-time thing, especially
Not
if
at
you're
all.
good at it.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if I could, Holly Randall said something. I really enjoyed her section.
Yeah, she's full
she
of
was really good. And I know
very
she does a
much.
show. And
Yeah.
she's really good. And she said something really
wisdom there.
interesting. She's like, we still, I'm paraphrasing her, but we still as a society haven't had like a real conversation about sex.
Everyone avoids
And I
it.
thought about that. I've been thinking about that every time she said, I'm like, she's right. Cause I think back to, I can't even remember what I was taught in sixth grade. You're like, we're going to go over the sex stuff. It's like for a day. And then maybe someone tells you about it. It's like, go figure it out. But then it's like the adult film industry, I'm just opening this up for the conversation. It's like, well, I think probably a lot of it is curiosity, because a lot of it is people don't know. They want to explore. They want to figure
And what
it
a
out.
great place to find out is, let's watch a movie or two.
Right. And like we said, how
Or
many
open
people?
up a magazine and see
Yeah.
just the anatomy of the girl and and all those things and whatnot. Because they're certainly not teaching sex ed in school. They are. It says a stork shows up and the baby's there on the steps and it takes the hell off. That's how it is. The birds and the bees or whatever. There's not much that I recall from a sex ed. Sure, the penis and the sperm and the egg and the ovulation and all those things, but that's like clinical. That's like scientific, whatever. Not like,
Not being able to be open and honest about your own feelings. People are not having conversation. And again, it comes down to society, culture, religion, and it's difficult because it's told to us and taught through society that that's a bad thing. So people are harboring these desires that cannot be spoken about. And it's always a very, I remember, the teacher at school trying to get
Awkwardly.
through
Awkwardly.
the what he was supposed to be telling us, and certainly myself feeling a bit awkward listening to it. Why are you thinking that? Because that's been taught to you to be that way, so you end up not talking about it. And yes, Holly Randall does address this, that people are not open and honest
and have that conversation when they should be, right?
yeah. And so again, and this is what is maybe freeing about the adult world, is that they've passed that. They've gone past that. They've had to go past that, and and they've come out the other side, and it's like a weight that's lifted. When you do have those conversations, a weight is lifted. It's freeing, because you're harboring tension. and that's not good for the body. So it will manifest itself in different ways, and you'll try and drown it with alcohol, or suffocate it with cigarettes, or exhaust it with exercise, whatever it may be for you. But when you release, well, then you've given yourself that level of freedom to be free to talk about it. So yeah, and it's the same with any other problems that people harbor until it's spoken about and discussed. Otherwise, it turns toxic, and that toxicity can turn to illness. And that's the body's way of communicating you to live your truth. So a lot of people who don't live their truth, sure, bad diet and eating at McDonald's every day isn't going to be good for you. But if you've got a toxic inside, it will eat away at you. And these are not taught to us in the school system. There's so much that's not taught to us about life. We got to go after it ourselves and learn as we go. You know. And it's so that's why life is a constant learning experience. And yeah, that's what's kind of like you want to get across within Fans Only, is that, you know, you're looking at people who are human, but they do this job that we're all watching, we're all fascinated by it, and it's got to be a reflection that, you know, it is a performance, but how can you translate that into your own world and say, okay, look, we're not, we it's about thinking differently and being more open and being able to express ourselves.
That was deep. That was really, no, that has me think, because yeah, it's like it has me thinking, is like, because are people acting the way they do around the adult film industry because of what because we're not having those early conversations and releasing it in a healthy way. So therefore it does become toxic. It does become, but the thing is, we have 9 billion people on the planet now?
How they all get here, right?
It ain't going away. Like we're not here without it.
Well, it's funny,
but we don't talk about it.
It's funny we mentioned that. Just out here in the driveway, I pulled up something I saw on Instagram, and it said that there was some bill that's trying to be passed, an anti-porn bill that's trying to be passed through whatever, the latest, what do you call that?
Legislation or act?
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on banning porn worldwide?
Good luck.
Because why? What are your thoughts on that? Because humans, again, like I said, as long as humans walk the earth, there'll be people who want to watch that, people who are against it or whatever, and people who want to consensually make it because they like to express themselves that way and are, exhibitionists. And there's people who appreciate that art form in some capacity. There's all different types of adult erotica. There's definitely a spectrum of it. Stuff that's certainly not my style. But then over here, there's, wow, that's very erotic and sexually entertaining. And you want to ask somebody, it's like you ask somebody who might be against it. Like, I'm trying to put this bill anti-porn. Well, I'd like to ask you a question then, if I may, and you be honest with me, because that's what we're here to do, right? Mr. Whoever you are you married? Yes. When's the last time you had sex with your wife? Last night. How was it? What did you do? Was it mechanical? Was it just like missionary, shut the lights out, don't say nothing? How did you get excited? How did you get erotic, turned on? How did you get... I'm asking you. What would they respond to me with? We don't know, right? So you're saying you want something that should be taken away, or expressing your way, that form of entertainment in that way of expressing it, right, and showing it. But yet, you have the sex. What are your thoughts on it being banned, and how How does that? I don't know if that's possible.
Well, especially because we all have these, right? Like people can make, when you guys do talk about OnlyFans in
Sure.
Fans Only. I have to mention this while it's Adriana
Fresh in your mind.
Chekic, the gentleman from the AVNs quoted her about how more people are coming back to do the studio stuff. And she says, because I want to wear the crown. Like there's something, I thought that was.
And it's true, you know? She wants to have acknowledgement and recognition, and maybe, you know, at the award ceremony be chosen like, you win and you go up and you're proud of it. Versus you're at home doing what you do, and there's no, and again, it's an individual preference for her and the way she wants to express herself. The OnlyFans girl or the guy or whatever they're doing in their own privacy of their home, maybe they don't care, and that's okay too. But as long as humans walk the earth, you're going to have there's two types of people in the world. Ones that are having sex and the others that are wishing they were. I don't know any other third or anything else, right? Maybe you can't physically, or maybe it doesn't, or maybe you've just given up because of whatever state you're in physically or whatnot. But if you're a heartbeat and you got blood going through your veins and you breathe in and out, you're going to be you're going to have desires. How do you deal with those?
And we talked about this the first time you came on the podcast, how Hollywood kind of brings a little of it in, but can't go too far with it. And when you guys were at the award show at the beginning of the documentary, one of the people say that like Game of Thrones, like it's full frontal nudity now. Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's okay, but penetration? Oh, wow, we can't talk to you. Like you guys have totally crossed the line.
We even saw years ago there was a series called Spartacus that was on in 2010, 11, 12. And there they were, full frontal nudity in a missionary position in some orgy setting in Roman times. I mean, it's not porno because it wasn't even thought of back then. It's just the sexual activity. But you're portraying it on TV, and there it is, but I don't know how that's, you know. I feel it's like there's some hypocrisy there, obviously. You know, sex sells. There's that phrase has been coined, right? That's why you see a commercial with fragrance and the girl and the whole everything, and it's got a sexual undertone to it, right? The romance cover guy novel thing with the girl in the front in this embrace. What are they going to do next? Play checkers? I don't know, maybe. So the minute you have, I don't know, again, a million ideas are going through my mind. That's why I have a hard time, trying to express that. But
no, I was thinking that same thing because from a psychological point of view, every marketing, every advertisement, if it's not fear or pulling on the love heartstrings,
sure, it's
sexual. No matter how, just anything, it can be very subtle, but there's still
a sexual undertone.
Trying to tap into the undertone. Sure. Exactly. Yeah. So it's very interesting. So I wanted, so you guys have done this, I don't know if you call it part one now, Fans Only. Where does the journey go now? Where are you guys going to take this thing now?
It goes a bit, deeper. There's sort of still more questions that people have that want answers to. So we just take it even further to answer those questions that people have. That's really what the documentary is about. Is when people watch it, they've all got questions in their head, and they're all predicting what's not. And I think we address so many, but there's so much more going on as well that people have questions, and it's all about answering questions for the viewer. So the journey continues because there's many more famous faces, performers that people are going to recognize and know, and some of them are more famous than mainstream TV and film actors. And we look at their human stories as well. and so people can see what their situation is like, and they engage with these with these performers from different areas of the business. We're not looking at every corner of the world and saying what's going on, and there's good and bad that happens in every single industry, and it's really just giving the performers a voice to see that they haven't had. Or because if you think about it, when you look at everything that has been put out there on mainstream, whether it's a documentary or a series about the industry, they haven't made them look in a good light. And there's so many people that are super intelligent, entrepreneurial, inspirational, funny, and that's never shown. From what I've seen, this is the first time that it's really changing the conversation. So episode 2 is exploring much more in depth in that way, and then we've got plans for episode 2, always with Tommy, being the thread that brings what we're doing together. And we're hoping to release number 2 in January.
Okay.
As long as everyone likes number 1, but it's doing well.
What's the feedback been so far? That just random feedback, colleagues, anybody? Like, how have people taken it?
That it's adding a different layer to what they would perceive something to be, which is great for the industry because it moves it forward 10 years in terms of acceptability. And it's a balancing act. When you've got people wanting to shut the industry down, you've got the audience saying, no, please don't do that because we want to see it. And then things like Fans Only that are raising the game. So you're always going to get that balance. You're going to have an equal level of people that will challenge you and support you. And the bigger you get, or the bigger an industry gets, the more you're going to have those people that challenge and people that support. In what it's no different for anyone. People love what I do. People don't love what I do. There's always going to be there. But I do think it's been off balance, where they've always constantly pointed negative and point the finger. This time now, we have a mainstream voice for the industry, which is what Fans Only is.
And then, Tommy, how about you moving forward with it?
Oh, and as far as your some of the responses people have had, very honest, very touching, enlightening, inspiring. It's true, very true. Oh my God, I never. They say there's a lot of heartfelt stuff in there. I've had people say it's very moving. In fact, at the end, you come to tears because it shows you the human side of the business, and that there are people that, whether you're in it or not, you can still relate because you're a human being and you have these emotions and hurt and happy, sad feelings. So really good reception and really good. I've had people say, "Wow, it's about time that we're getting something that's, sharing it in that way, in that light, positive aspect of it, versus this horrific, whatever you want to fill in the blanks." So
yeah, and when I speak to performers, certainly,
thank you.
It's like they can nearly come to tears, because they've said no one's ever done that for the industry as I said before, I think a lot of them find themselves defending the industry that they work in, and they get exhausted defending that. So this is something that they can say, okay, just go and watch that. But no, they really get behind it. They want to share something that is propelling them, that is doing something, good for them, and it brings it back into balance. But certainly, yeah, and the reviews on Amazon have been fantastic. very, wonderful and, not what it's something that people expected to see.
Sure.
And maybe it's a relief. We were speaking earlier with Anna Fox, and anything else that is on mainstream, it's just like you can watch it for 5 minutes and then it's suddenly like, where is this going and why? And why is that even on? Because it's not a reflection of the truth.
The way it's depicted in any mainstream movie or television show or whatnot is always some negative depiction. Some star's doing a big giant line of cocaine. And then they take the robe off and walk into the set and it gets blurry and they have sex. Maybe once upon a time. Or I could show you the same thing in real life as people are doing. Doesn't have to always be some, adult worker that's doing that or whatever, where she's banging a big shot off a flask before she goes and has sex. Open up your eyes in the world. Take a peek in any bedroom or private setting. What are they doing before they have sex? It's just a funny subject matter that it's so, it's so taboo. And it's so, looked down upon and culturally and whatever. But yet, it's what everyone hopes to be able to do. Ask any guy if he could have a skill or some sort of, I want to be good in bed and I want to be attractive to the opposite sex. That's what any guy or woman would want to be, right? You would think, right? I mean, it's still mind-boggling in that, such an old action between people. It's like, where are we ever going to get to a place where it's, isn't there like such a thing as healthy sex? Like, what about a sex therapist with a marriage and whatnot? What are they telling is a sex therapist, because there are those people, right, who are clinically with a degree. Is there such a degree? You go, what is it? Biology? What else? Human psychology? What would those things be in order to get a degree in sexual behavior and so? What would it be? I don't know, because call me whatever you want to call me. But what would you call that? How would you get that? How would you get those degrees? And then what would you tell those people? Marriage comes, they come and say, hey, we love each other, but we just don't know how to keep the spark going in the bedroom, and we want to do that, right? What do you suggest? Play Jenga, or watch some sexual content. There's got to be healthy, good sexual. Do some massage on each other with some oils and nice music, right? But it's still pointing them in a direction to eventually have sex. Right? When does a healthy sexual activity between a husband and wife, when does that turn into pornographic smut? Like, what's the defining? Where's that? Oh, because you add a camera to it, now it's. I'm asking you, right?
When you and I were talking the other day, I mean, look at alcohol, for example. Promoted like crazy everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere you look.
Every sponsors everything.
And how's it promoted? With a girl in a negligee with a bottle of champagne, and what's going to happen next?
And we'll look at the destruction it causes. And then, sports, I've been tuning more into the NBA playoffs this year.
Sure.
The sports gambling.
Gambling.
Left and right. I'm like, well, that's not like a great, for some people.
And who's on the sports gambling website? Some chick in a scantily Las Vegas glittery dress suggesting you bet on the game. There you go. I mean,
so that's what I'm trying to say is like society has like chosen, like these are the, I'm not even calling the adult film a vice, but like they're propelling and showcasing these things that are really destructive and destroy people's lives. But
Right.
when it comes to sex on camera, oh God, no, we can't do that.
Right.
You know, so it's just very, the whole thing's just very interesting.
And Fans Only is moving that conversation.
Yeah.
And that's, that's why we're continuing the journey. And I look forward to, the next installment and coming back on the show, and we'll go and we'll see
For part two.
how number 2 is doing.
No, this has been, I do have, Eric, do you have any questions for the guys before
No,
we round
not-
down?
Nothing specific coming to mind. I'm just listening. Really fascinating. I need to check out this documentary.
Maybe that's what we'll have. We'll have a sex therapist and have their what would you prescribe, right? Prescribe, that's to a couple, married couple, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or in order to,
Dr. Gunn,
the
the
who
late
knows,
night radio.
maybe I could, maybe it might sound strange, but, maybe I would be a good example to a guy who wants to learn and, he wants to build confidence, wants to figure out, how to be a certain way, with the opposite sex, or, how to conduct himself, how to feel, work out, build that confidence. And because that's all that, there's a healthy aspect to that, right? I mean,
And I like how Joel, you said earlier how, you can bury that desire however you want through different vices, and there could be pluses to that too, taking that energy and putting it towards something positive, but it's still there. Like you're not getting rid of it. Like it's biologically ingrained to us to procreate, to mate. So I think it goes back to what you were saying, like we don't have that conversation early on in our development. So now we're left in a scenario or
to
situation
discover it on your own and look
where
out.
now we're
and stuff.
just, when people see it and it's on camera and it's, oh my God, we can't look at that. But that's also how I got here. It's just all very
certainly-
strange.
yeah.
I
It's
don't-
like you're trying to get to destination, but you don't have a sat nav.
yeah.
Or the,
I know.
and somebody who has the sat nav or a map is going to get there a lot quicker, but we're not given that in life. We come into this controlled world, this already built and established world, and we don't get given the rules. And this goes on. We're talking about navigating through relationships and trying to express desires, but it goes for everything. And we get led by others. And parents with the best intentions can be, destructive for children with the best intentions, because they're projecting their values, their ideas, their fears on their children, and saying you've got to get a job and you've got to play it safe, and
Now
because-
save yourself and be pure for your husband and all those things. And Something of that nature,
but what
right?
if they're not like that? And it's great. And we've got this concept of marriage, and that's being taught and invented, and that's great if that's what you desire and what you look for. But what if it's not? So it's all about being honest with yourself and living that truth. But it's difficult. And I think Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, said it takes a man to get to over the age of 40 to start unlearning the ideas and programmed ideas and beliefs, to step into their power. So yeah, and he studied 500 of the most successful people in the world, and that's what the conclusion was. But the wheels are turning towards a direction. I think we're at a fork in the road where we're all going to, either be wiped out by AI.
It's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
Right there.
or
what's AI's opinion of pornography?
well, it's going to remake it, isn't it? But I don't know. But yeah,
Maybe we should ask.
but then there is
right
the
on
human
the
side of it. There is the spiritual side of it, that where people are awakening and realizing that maybe something's not quite right. So it's a very interesting time to be alive.
I love everything. I'm thinking Grow Rich. I mean, that's one of the go-tos right there. I'm just going to throw this idea.
Sure,
I
sure.
don't know. Would you guys think you'll explore AI in fans only? Because
we've
I mean,
already started.
I'm sure you've already seen what was released this past week, or was it last week? The Google VE, whatever it was.
What is it?
Basically, what the capabilities, what AI can do creating with film now.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have to admit, like at first, I'm like,
Is there an
whatever.
example?
Then I
Is there
look,
an
I'm like,
example of?
oh,
of
there's
like
examples.
It's all over the.
a
There's-
video.
it blew up the internet. Like it's I call it shocking. Like it's pretty advanced.
And it's
stuff.
entirely developed by AI. There's not a single app.
prompts.
There's not
No.
a single human in it.
Not a single one.
Set effects.
I'll give you an
It's
example.
all AI generated.
I was on LinkedIn. A guy said, I used to film pharmaceutical commercials for $500K. I just made one for $500 on AI. No actors, no background. It's all there. So I'm just, maybe as we
Wow.
round out here, I'm just curious, you especially as a filmmaker, and then Tommy, you as a performer,
Sure.
where do you see AI coming into all this?
We're bringing it into episode 2 and answering those questions, because one thing about adult entertainment is it tends to lead the way with new technologies. And you'll have to watch episode 2 to find the answer.
Okay.
AI, honestly, is already off to the races, and it's entirely too late right now. So what we see is only just a scratch of the surface. And one day, we're all going to look at each other and goes, "Who idea was this?"
It's
To
really,
now be
it's the biggest thing since the internet. And there's so much happening that's speeding things up, saving time. And it's all about people who know how to use it correctly.
Yeah.
It's moving at a phenomenal pace. And, it's exciting in many ways, but scary for some. But, so is the driverless car. What are we going to do with a load of displaced people in their 50s who all they've been doing all their life is driving?
private transportation.
So, yeah, we're headed towards the controlled demolition of humanity, if you like. But that's another time.
That's the next documentary.
Controlled demolition of humanity. Well, we're on the trajectory to another extinction event that we've already implemented and put in place. That we've started. We lit the fuse. I think.
Maybe this part 2 will all be just hologram AI talking to each other.
Or maybe this podcast is.
Who knows?
This will be
Am I real?
Blade Runner's coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting time to be alive
Yeah.
for us, especially what's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
It's in the lead up to 2030.
And I have to admit, you seeing your work, Joel, has really gotten me more interested in documentaries. Like they are, I love that concept of like we got a framework of what we want this thing to be, but we're also at the same time open to wherever this can go. It has to be just a fun. It's kind of like a podcast. We started, we don't know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I really admire your work. It's really good, and Tommy, everything you do is awesome, and I really appreciate both of you coming on here. Is there anything before we round out of here that you guys want to say on anything with fans only? Anything else you got going on? Anything you guys want to say?
It's really a message to people to follow your heart, to follow your truth, and because deep down who you truly want to become. It's just being able to stop for a moment and stop listening to the voices from outside and listen to that voice from inside. And I know because I'm on a journey myself, but I would love to come out the other side and say, you can go from where you are to where you truly want to become. And I had this conversation with Tommy, I remember, in a diner, and I was like, to the outside world, like, 90, maybe 98% of people would swap their problems for my problems. Everything is really, truly achievable. And that's something that people, every single innate human intelligence has human intelligence, not artificial intelligence. So if we can, with artificial intelligence and human intelligence, we just seem to be exploring AI rather than HI.
RI, real intelligence.
There we go. Yeah.
Real intelligence.
And Joel, if you don't mind me asking real time before we get to you, I'm sure it's another podcast in itself, but how did you get into documentary filmmaking? Like, what led you on that journey? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an actor by what I studied, and I always love acting. And I knew what I wanted to do when I was 4 years old. But nowadays, to be an actor, you've got to be in the business of acting. And that is being the director, the producer, the writer, bringing together all the right people to create the vision that you want. It just so happened that documentary was where it sort of began for me, which was turning the camera back on myself and looking at the decisions and choices that I have made out of the need for attention, out of seeking validation outside of me, when really it was inside of me. There's again that pointing outwardly and blaming maybe outside for things that you should be really pointing back at yourself. And documentary is a perfect medium that explores this to be that mirror to other people. So I did a few documentaries before, as I was learning my craft, and I did a TV series as well. But it's gone down that road. I'm moving now into feature. I'm doing the first feature, and I have done TV as well. And when I do feature film and I do TV, especially if I'm the producer or the writer, then I'm looked upon very favorable when it comes to casting. So I tend to do stuff where I can be a part of, because I love everything about this creative world, this creative industry, and coupling that with the ability to inspire. And documentary is real. I love feature films. It delivers a message that inspires. But when it's documentary, people can connect to a real person. And I think that's part of the success of Gypsy Billionaire, is it's connecting somebody with a real person. And that's the power of documentary. It's exponentially grown, certainly in the past 10 years that I've been doing it.
Oh, it's really awesome. It's really very creative. I'm very engaged in your documentaries. Like, just everything from the actual story being told, the people you're interviewing, you come into it with your narrative, and this is really high production. So I really enjoy it, and I look forward to the next stuff coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Tommy, anything you'd like to say on anything? And I do have a question for you too, but I don't know if
to
you
be
have
honest
anything.
with you, it's just figuring out how to put it into words and get it out in my mouth.
I have a question for, and you've addressed a lot of this, but what's the biggest misconception about the adult film industry, or maybe you as a performer, that you'd like people to know? Like, you guys got this wrong. This isn't how it is. I know we've addressed a lot of
Maybe
that type
that
of thing.
they think that I am who I am in the movies 24 hours a day, just, seeking my next sexual experience, trying to find it where it's going to be or whatever. That's not it at all. I'm a guy at the moment right now who's, like one of the people said in the movie, was Tommy's just like everybody else, looking to really just get a little love in his life. Everybody at some point wants to be with somebody and those things. No, we're a very we're a social creature. We're not a solitude, right? So that would be nice. I'd like to find somebody. That would be, but with that's a whole nother thing because of the path I chose, and so that particular person is going to have to be very understanding and be able to relate to me. So it's not impossible. Other than that, I mean, just trying to get to the end of something that I don't know when it is coming. We'll all have it, In what form, who knows? Hopefully it's nice and pleasant and not some terrible, battle of whatever it is, sickness or anything. Just again, I think the word is content, not even happy. Trying to find a moment of being content with yourself when nobody's out, when you're by yourself, having that moment, waking up in the morning and being in a good mood is that's simple, Sure, I aspire I'd like to do some acting. It's fun. I like to make movies. It's fun. The process is cool. Be great to meet somebody and have a relationship like that. And then even just develop more of a relationship with myself and discover myself and figure out, how to conduct and, live out the rest of my days, however they are.
I love that contentment.
I don't know. I
or
mean,
happiness.
it's hard. It's hard to say, again, so many thoughts running through my mind. So to get to that, to be able to figure that out, right?
I think it's a beautiful thing. Again, I think it was just pure serendipity. The universe, like you two, get together.
Yeah. See,
And what you guys have done, and now the journey that you're still on. Like that's what I think is really cool about this whole thing. So, where can people check out Fans Only? Where do they need to go?
Oh, now you can go to Amazon Prime in the UK and the US. We're coming out next month on Apple TV in 63 countries. And then we're going to be on YouTube Movies and TV. So that'll be available worldwide. And, because the stars are known worldwide. And check out our new Instagram page, Fans Only Doc. There we're going to be letting everyone know where it's going to be released and events that are coming up.
Awesome. And if people want to follow your work, Joel, your company, anything about you, where should they go?
Yeah,
follow that?
You can find me again on Amazon Prime and the link to Joel Ven der Molen. And I'm on Instagram, which seems to be the place where everyone is. And I'm at Joel Ven der Molen 22.
Okay. Tommy, where do people need to go to check you out?
Just
Where do you want to send them?
Google.
Just Google Tommy Gunn. You'll find it.
DuckDuckGo. Google's.
Chat GDP.
Yeah, type Tommy Gunn into Chat GPT.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Try that and see what it says. Should be interesting. I'm out there on Twitter and Instagram and whatnot. Again, just go Tommy Gunn social media platforms, and it'll pop up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I got to say, Tommy, since you've been on the show, it's been a year.
Yeah.
Because we really focused on Tommy talking about wanting to get into Hollywood movies and doing it. Your creative drive is impeccable, my friend. And that's why I think it's really cool seeing you two combine forces. It just shows what can get done when creative people get together and really like set their mind to something.
I feel like for me, the toughest part for me is, I have all these, like I said, aspirations. That's the word, right? Aspirations. I'd like to be an actor. I'd like to make movies. I'd like to do those things. But I don't say but the human experience is really having a big role in those things. Not in a good way, not in a bad way, not in whatever way, but how are you feeling about yourself? How's your human experience going?
Still grateful.
Yeah, I guess that's what we can do, right? We got to be grateful and decide that, we have control for the most part over how we react to certain things, right? If you're given a moment, like right now, the present, yesterday's gone, tomorrow may never come. So in this moment of right now, how do we decide to want to be and treat it like that? Happy-go-lucky, fun, grateful, excited, yay, or bitter and angry and all those other things. So, right? We got to figure out what to do with the time we have left. Hopefully it's good.
Have as much fun as possible.
Really? I mean, what's the other choice? To not,
I love it.
Well, thank you.
Joel, Tommy, thank you so much. You've given us so much already, but I always give the guests the last word. Eric, any final thoughts?
No, but thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah, thank you to everybody. And let us know your thoughts on Fans Only by way of sharing. Connect with us on social media. Let us know your thoughts and add a review. Let's get it to number one. You know, it'd be nice to have another number one.
Right?
Wouldn't
Nice.
it? You know, it's like a number one hit single.
Yeah.
But no, I feel it will, and you know, it will move the industry forward 10 years.
Awesome. Tommy, any last thoughts on your end?
Just get out there and do stuff. Quick, hurry up. I
There it
mean,
is.
that's
Yeah. Keep going. Keep moving forward.
getting up.
Don't worry, be happy.
fall down 7 times, get up 8. Fail. Keep failing.
Keep failing forward.
Failing.
Yay.
Try again.
I love it. Well, this has been great, fellas. No, thank you. Best of luck with part 2, the journey here. I look forward for the follow-up on that and watching that. So Joel, Tommy, thank you so much for coming on.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Sam Dever podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thesamdever podcast, and give us a follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. See you soon.